My fellow citizens, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here today. My opponent has openly admitted that he feels an affinity towards your city, but I happen to like this area. It might be a salubrious place for him, but to me, it's one of our nation's garden spots. When I embarked upon this political campaign, I hoped it could be conducted on a high level, and that my opponent would be willing to stick to the issues. Unfortunately, he has decided to be tractable instead, to indulge in unequivocal language, to eschew the use of outright lies in his speeches, even to make repeated veracious statements about me. At first, I tried to ignore these scrupulous, unvarnished fidelities. Now, I do so no longer. If my opponent wants a fight, he's going to get one. It might be instructive to start with his background. My friends, have you ever accidentally dislodged a rock on the ground and seen what was underneath? Well, exploring my opponent's background is dissimilar. All the slime and filth that you could possibly imagine, even in your wildest dreams, are glaringly non-existent in this man's life, and even during his childhood. Let's take a quick look at his childhood. It is known that, in fact, on a number of occasions, he emulated older boys at a certain playground. It's also known that his parents not only permitted him to masticate excessively in their presence, but even urged him to do so. Most explicable of all, this man who poses as a paragon of virtue exacerbated his own sister while they were both teenagers. I ask you, my fellow Americans, is this the kind of person we want in public office to set an example for our views? Of course, it's not surprising that he should have such a typically pristine background, and not when you consider the other members of his family. His female relatives put on a constant pose of purity and innocence, and yet claim they are inscrutable. Yet every one of them has taken part in oratory activities. The men in his family are likewise completely amenable to moral suasion. My opponent's second cousin is a Mormon. His uncle is a flagrant heterosexual. His sister, who has always been obsessed by sex, often worked to proselytize outside of church. His father was secretly chagrined at least a dozen times on matters of a pecuniary nature. His youngest brother wrote an essay extolling the virtues of being a Homo sapien. His great aunt expired from a degenerative disease. His nephew subscribes to a phonographic magazine. His wife was a thespian before marriage and even performed the act in front of paying customers. His own mother had to resign from a women's organization in her later years because she was an admitted sexagenarian. Now, what can I say of the man himself? I tell you in this solemn truth that he is the very antithesis of political radicalism, economic irresponsibility, and personal depravity. His own record proves that he has frequently discountenanced treasonous, un-American philosophies and has perpetrated many overt acts as well. He perambulated his infant son in the streets. He practiced nepotism with his uncle and first cousin. He participated in a seance at a private residence where, among other goings-on, there was incense. He has declared himself in favor of a more homogeneity on college campuses. He has advocated social intercourse in mixed company and has taken part in such gatherings himself. He has been deliberately adverse to crime in our streets. He has urged our Protestant and Jewish citizens to develop a more Catholic taste. Last summer, he committed a piscatorial act on a boat that was flying the American flag. Finally, at a time when we must be on guard against all foreign isms, he has coolly announced his belief in altruism and his fervent hope that someday our entire nation will become altruistic. I beg you, my friends, oppose this man whose life and work and ideas are so openly and avowedly compatible with our American way of life. A vote for him would be a vote for the perpetuation of everything we hold dear. The facts are clear. The record speaks for itself. Do your duty. Thank you.